Shalom, shalom, everybody. Back again. All praises to the Most High. Shabbat shalom, everybody. And let's just get into it. We're going to call this one Curses into Blessings. Let's start with Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 5. Nevertheless, Yahuwah, thy mighty one, would not hearken unto Balaam, but Yahuwah, thy mighty one, or the Lord thy God, as it says in the King James, turned the curse into a blessing unto thee, because Yahuwah, thy mighty one, loved thee. So because the Most High loves us, he turned the curses into the blessings. It's Good News Translation. But Yahuwah, your mighty one, or the Lord your God, would not listen to Balaam. Instead, he turned the curse into a blessing because he loved you. Let's get one more. Joshua chapter 24, verses 9 and 10. Then Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, arose and warned against Israel, and sent and called Balaam, this is getting further into that story, the son of Beor, to curse you, the children of Israel. Verse 10. But I would not hearken unto Balaam, therefore he blessed you. Still, so I delivered you out of his hand. That's the Most High speaking, telling that same account that we got in Deuteronomy. Let's get it from the Good News Translation. Then the king of Moab, Balak, son of Zippor, fought against you. He sent word to Balaam, son of Beor, and asked him to put a curse on you. Verse 10. But I would not listen to Balaam, so he blessed you, and in this way I rescued you from Balak. So the Most High used what was sent against the children of Israel to be the same one. He forced him to bless them. And that's what he'll do if you stay in his will and do what you're supposed to be doing. Now, before we get started, I'm going to put a little disclaimer on the screen. Give y'all a couple seconds to read it. No names will be mentioned in this account, but this is my personal story. A couple of my personal stories are times where the Most High had somebody say something to me that was meant in a bad way, but he taught me to embrace it and taught me that it was a good thing for real. He's the enemies that helped me to know myself and know who I am, even in him and in life period. Just two examples, because we don't like to make these too long, making them for the people with short attention spans like myself. Let's get into it. The first one was, growing up, I was always called sensitive. And in my ignorance, I took that as being like the people were saying that I was like soft and whiny, like a little biatch. You feel me? So I was greatly offended and my feelings was hurt by people saying that. And it felt like I needed to toughen up, or as people say in this day society, man up and all that stuff, you know, and basically allow myself to be more mistreated and suffer in silence. Basically, that's what I thought the answer was to being called sensitive. But as I matured and grew, I learned that the goodness of a person is not measured by how much abuse they could take or how much they're willing to suffer in silence, and that being sensitive is actually a good thing, because it means your senses are working properly, and that discernment that something isn't right. Think of Spider-Man. He had, what did he say when he sensed something wasn't right? My spidey senses are tingling. So that's a good thing. When his spidey senses tingle, that let him know something ain't right and that something need to happen, something need to change. So that's what I was blessed to find out. And just for educational purposes, let's look up the word sensitive. It's an adjective. That definition is quick to detect or respond to slight changes or signals or influences. And it says for the sentence that they use, said the new method of protein detection was more sensitive than the earlier one. So that made it more effective. That made it was more adept at catching when something wasn't right so that it can be detected. You know, similar words are responsive to, quick response to, Definition number 2 of a person or person's behavior: having or displaying a quick and delicate appreciation of others' feelings. Similar, tactful, careful, and thoughtful. So, can anybody tell me where this is negative and why it should be looked at as negative? I saw a meme that said, "You're too sensitive," really means you won't let me take advantage of you. And like I got this shirt right here, this is one of the characters from a movie called They Live, starring Roddy Piper, late wrestler. And if any of y'all get a chance to check it out, I believe they got it here on YouTube. Might be like a couple dollars or whatever, but if it is, it's worth it. Check that movie out, because this is one of the like the evil characters. And what he said, like the premise of the movie, I won't give away the whole thing, but like the premise of the movie was like he had these glasses, like Roddy Piper. I forgot what his job title or whatever was, but he was living in his community, and he had these glasses, and everything looked normal when he was just walking around without the glasses. But when he put those glasses on, they were like shades. He could see what people true intentions were. Like it would be signs, like billboard signs, and they'd say one thing, but then when he put those glasses on, they'd say something completely different. And then there were certain people walking around that looked just like regular people, like yourselves and myself. And when he put the glasses on, they would look like this. And that was like their true form, but they could only be seen with the glasses on. And like he was at a newsstand or something, and he started like commenting on what those people look like, because I guess it scared him when he put the glasses on, as well as I can remember, because it's been a while since I seen it. But that's what the guy said when he knew that Roddy Piper was on to him. I got one that can see. And that's how I feel when people say you're too sensitive. That mean you caught on to their BS, or caught on to whatever schemes they was up to, or whatever trick they had for you. So that's why they say you're too sensitive. I said, that mean we got one that can see. I had to get this made because it was on my heart, and that's how I feel. Now that I know what really being sensitive is, but back then when people used to say, "Oh, yo, you sensitive. Oh, you can't say nothing to him," or "Oh, you can't do this to him," or "Oh, you can't," basically you can't get one over on him. What it really mean, because there would be times where I would bring things into conversations where I felt like I was wronged, or I felt like something wasn't right. Not even necessarily me being wrong. Sometimes with somebody else being wrong, because I'm just a person that don't like to see people getting done foul, so I would speak up. And they say, "Oh man, you gotta watch Wood, he's sensitive, yo." Or don't even ask him about XYZ because he's sensitive. Really, no, I'm going to tell the truth about it. Oh no, I'm not going for it. That's what it really is. But that's what people will try to make you the bad one. When you catch them in their stuff, they mess, and they'll say something bad about you instead of saying, "Oh, I was really on some BS that I was trying to trick him, and he caught on to me. So I'm not the bad one. He's the bad one for catching on. So he's sensitive. We just gonna label him that." But like I said, the Most High took that, which I thought was a bad thing, and then he let me live and let me get some knowledge, and there's even books about empaths and people with those type of personalities, such as I have. And there's a book called The Highly Sensitive Person. And once I read that book, it took it from being something negative to something that I'm very proud of. Yeah, I'm sensitive. Yeah, I'm going to catch on when you try to do something slick around me. Yeah, and I'm probably won't call you out, but at this stage where as though I'm all great, I'm not really going to call you out too much. I'm just going to limit my dealings with you because I already know how things are. And I know there's no sense in trying to have conversation with some people about some things, because all they going to do is say, "Oh, you too sensitive," or "Oh, you funny acting." Nah, I'm just on to you, buddy. Let's move on to the next one. I'm on this one too long. We try to keep these under a certain time for everybody, like I said earlier, with the short attention spans, such as myself. The next one is this next one is another one that's very important. It came from somebody who also will remain nameless, But I was talking to a mutual friend of mine and this person, and at the time I was working on some music. So the mutual person that we knew, I won't even call him a friend, but the mutual person had told me this other person's name had came up, and he was like, yeah, he said you got a passive voice. And I took that, once again, I took that as an insult because I'm just like, passive don't mean nothing good. That mean you just weak and you just lay down and go for whatever, like you don't stand up for yourself and stuff. That's the only definition that I've ever heard of passive. So once I get hurt, I always try to find the meaning in the suffering. Like DMX said, he said to live is to suffer, but to survive is to find a meaning in the suffering. So first thing I did was go to the dictionary and say, what exactly does this word mean? Because maybe I'm taking it wrong. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. So let me look it up. So what I saw was something similar to this. This is from an updated dictionary definition, so it might have been a little different back then, but this is what I got when I just looked it up this time. It says passive. It's an adjective, and it means accepting or allowing what happens or what others do without active response or resistance. So basically, like I said, like you just go for whatever. Like you don't stand up for yourself. Similar words are submissive and acquiescent. So let's look up acquiescent. Acquiescent, ready to accept something without protest or do what someone else wants. So then when I saw that, it started to make sense. I just left a group setting where as though, like where we had like three strong church powerhouse, like we had strong powerhouse vocalists in that situation, and basically everybody just went hard. Like every time, like just giving you the the top of their lungs, the top of their register, every single time, And I learned from the dynamic of one of my favorite, well, actually my favorite R&B group is Jodeci, and the dynamic that Casey and JoJo have when they sing. Definitely both of them are two powerhouse vocal singers, but it's like for the blend and for the continuity of the group, many times you hear KC singing real hard and just strong and powerful. And you hear JoJo singing really smooth and pretty, so it's like the basically, like, for lack of better words, and I'm not into no crazy stuff or whatever, but for lack of better words, like the yin and the yang. It's like opposites, two opposites, and it just blend together so beautifully. So it's like because I was in a group with two powerhouse singers that was like hitting you hard from the left or the right, I figured why not be straight in the middle and just be smooth. And it created a dynamic, and I probably shouldn't even talk about this out loud because I always felt that was like a cheat code. The fact that people have come in and things have changed, and people sometimes say the dynamic isn't the same as the dynamic that they grew up on or that they love. It's the fact that everybody ain't somebody's here I am, guys, well, and let the other two guys do that. It's a blend. It's like a happy medium somewhere in there. I don't know how to exactly put it into words, but it's like everybody ain't got to be rah rah rah. Somebody can be smooth, somebody can be that, and that creates a whole different dynamic than if everybody is doing the opposite. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I basically sung in character because there's definitely been times in church where though I rah and growled and done all that stuff, but it was appropriate because it was just me. You see what I'm saying? But when you're in a group dynamic, you basically, my mentality is to be what is needed for the betterment of all. Like what's the scripture that say, I become all things to all people so that all people might be, might benefit. I'm gonna put it up here because I don't know exactly how it goes, but it's like basically like hitting in where you fit in and being who you need to be in this particular situation and being flexible, being, like malleable. So basically, the passive, once again, It's not an insult. It's a good thing if you really know how to basically use it and how you know how to basically put it in there. So even still, I was reading the scriptures one day, and that's how I learned. Like, I prayed and I asked the Most High to help me understand the scriptures. And as soon as I did that, excuse my little alarm or whatever, please. But things would just happen to me in real life, and then I would go back and open the book and see a scripture that referred to what I just went through, and that's how I started understanding the scriptures. So once again, I open up, and shout out to my sister Nick. She always say, like, if you don't know where to turn when you read the Bible, just open it up, and something on that page will be for you 9 times out of 10. And many times that's been the case with me. And so I learned the story in 1 Kings chapter 19 of, what's called the still small voice. And I'd like to share a little bit of that with y'all if you don't mind. This is 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 11 and 12. And behold, Yahuwah passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains and brake in pieces the rocks before Yahuwah. But Yahuwah was not in that wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But Yahuwah was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. A little small, quote unquote, passive voice. Still small voice. He wasn't in all that boom and loud and all the commotion. Come on now, things. I'm up here trying to do this, and y'all want to be heard. Sorry about that. So let's look at that same. Actually, let's look at it in the. What was this? I'm sorry. We human over here, so we ain't gonna always be adept and be right on point. So I'm sorry for that accident. So let's go to look at the word for small in that verse. This is Strong's chapter 18. Strong's, I'm sorry, not chapter. This is number 1854. And the word is Dakak, or Dakak, Daquuq. This is from the Exhaustive Concordance. And it means crushed, fine, ground to powder, pulverized, very fine. A gentle blowing. That's what that breeze was like, a gentle breeze, like a smooth breeze. Like, it wasn't in all the earthquake, it wasn't in all that commotion, but he was in a gentle breeze. And gentle reminds me a lot of passive, because gentle ain't making no waves, gentle ain't bothering nobody, gentle ain't knocking nobody over. So basically that lets me know that the Most High isn't always in the loud, always in the flashy, because it was like an earthquake after that, and a fire. Sometimes he could be in the gentle, beaten down, crushed vessel. Let's read that from the Good News Translation. The Most High said, "Go out and stand before me on top of the mountain," Yahuwah said to him. Then Yahuwah passed by and sent a furious wind that split the hills and shattered the rocks. But Yahuwah was not in the wind. The wind stopped blowing, and there was an earthquake. But Yahuwah was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, there was a fire. But Yahuwah was not in the fire. And after the fire, there was a soft whisper of a voice. A soft whisper of a voice. So now, after reading that, I love my little passive voice. So all praises to the Most High for it. You got to be yelling all the time to get your point across. Nothing wrong with it sometimes. Sometimes it's appropriate, but don't always have to be that way. And just like the scripture that said, can the hand say to the eye, because you don't do what I do, that you're not part of the body. Like, different parts are what makes up the body. If the person had a body and it was all made up of the same part that did everything the same way, then it would be lacking all the other functions, So sometimes we had to be able to acknowledge and recognize the importance of other parts that are around, that are making the body what it needs to be, instead of downing that part of the body. And then when it don't function for you no more, when it leave, then you miss it and you wish you had it. So it's about like sometimes appreciating what you have while you have it, you know. But let's get back to my original points. And so by episodes, people have helped me to understand and love myself. It made me think of a quote that says, when people hurt you over and over, think of them as sandpaper. They scratch and hurt you, but later you'll end up shining and polished while they end up useless. And not saying that you want anybody to end up useless, but it's definitely a serious quote, something to think about. What they used to say on that show when I was little, when the cartoons on channel NBC. That's one to grow on. Let's end with this word. The words of our forefather Joseph, who's a brother used to tell me back in when I first started coming into the truth, and it was a brother who used to teach me and study with me on the Sabbath. He used to call me every Sabbath and study with me. And he used to always call me Joseph because of like the story, my life story. He said it had a lot of parallels with Joseph, our forefather, man. So that was a blessing, him saying that, him speaking that into me, you know, I appreciate to this day. And if you watch it, bro, I came back in contact with him recently. So if you happen to catch this, bro, shalom and much love to you. Thank you for the time you put in helping me to get it together for real, helping me to learn. You know, and this is Joseph speaking to his brothers who had greatly wronged him. And once they reunited, he didn't have any malice in his heart towards them. And this is what he said to them. He said, but as for you, you thought evil against me. But Elohim, or God, meant it unto good, as to bring to pass as it is this day, to save much people alive. Good News Translation. You plotted evil against me, but Elohim turned it into good, in order to preserve the lives of many people who are alive today because of what happened. So on that note, man, the Most High can take what has been planned for evil against you and turn it into good and make you a blessing to many people because of it. And that's what I always pray, that whatever I've been through, whatever I go through, that the Most High can be able to use it in a way that'll be a blessing to others. And I thank each one of y'all for listening and tuning in. And let me say this before I go off, because of a message that I just got earlier. We talk about so many different things, but the main thing that always needs to remain in the forefront of our minds is this verse right here. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, because this is the whole duty of man. So everything else is things that we go through and words that we need, but we always keep that in the front of everything. Fear him and keep his commandments, because that's what we were created for real. Anybody want to know what they were created for, or feel like they have no idea what they're here for? To fear him and keep his commandments towards everybody that we come in contact with. And you do that, I'm sure that everything else will fall into place. So with that being said, much love. See y'all next time. Shalom and Yah Baruch. I love each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. And goodness, we under 25 this time. It's even better. We get better and better. All right now. Shalom, y'all.